Yes.
So tell me, what exactly inspired you to dive so deeply?
Well, it's funny, we're going to be on an LSD kick here now. Um, I will say just so first of all, I think probably the psychedelic that had the most healing for me was psilocybin, the substance in what we call, or some people call, magic mushrooms. But LSD um, is is like my, I don't know, it's less healing for me than it is a brain superpower. So I wasn't planning to write a book. I, been writing articles and doing some videos and things like that. And I thought, there are a lot of decent books on psychedelics out there. How to Change Your Mind, Michael Pollan's great book that really is helping push it into the mainstream. Um, but Matt Zeman has a really good book, Psychedelics for Everyone, and there are a bunch of other ones out there. But I was on this LSD journey and I was sitting on my deck. I like doing it out in nature, but in a safe nature, not way out in nature, but sitting on my deck overlooking this lake. And it was at the very tail end of this LSD journey, which was just a very blissful journey. And all of a sudden, and again, I can't tell you, it wasn't a voice. It wasn't, I don't know what it was, but it was this energy, is all I can call it. It's energy that said, you need to write a book about psychedelics and share the stories of people who have been healed through psychedelics and plant medicine. And here's the outline. And I rushed inside and I grabbed a pad of paper and I went back. I went back right to the same spot because I thought, oh, I have to be in the same spot. And I wrote down this outline. And the outline of the final book is about 90% of that original outline I got from that LSD experience. And in that experience, so basically it said, yes, you can be the educator and tell the history, the real history of psychedelics. And the real history is pretty amazing, not the lies we've been told. But the other thing was the power of storytellers. It's like the LSD is like it's not your book, it's the storyteller's book. And you need to empower them to share their stories so they can empower others. And so that began a process of trying to, I probably talked to 75 people to get the 23 stories that are in the book. And the only thing that's added to the book after this LSD experience was I was the whatever told me to do this book um, was focused on macrodosing. But as I was writing the book, microdosing just became a bigger and bigger thing. Moms who microdose uh, and Silicon Valley, all of a sudden, the big secret became well known that they've been microdosing for years. Apple and all, and
Mm.
all these things. And so I said, okay, well, I need to add a chapter on microdosing, and then I found 3 stories about microdosing. So 20 macrodosing or full journey stories and 3 microdosing stories.
Okay, so I have so many questions, but I think this one is important because it will help people who are not who are new to this topic.
Yeah,
What is the difference between
good. Thank
macrodosing
you.
and microdosing?
Okay, macrodosing is what probably most people think about when they talk about psychedelics. That's the full on experience, and of course, most people think about it as the crazy geometric patterns and crazy colors and uh, yes, sometimes in a psychedelic experience, I have wood flooring, and sometimes the knots on the floor do crazy things. But that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
That's just the appetizer to the real healing. But that's a macro journey when you go on a healing journey. And each psychedelic is different. Psilocybin is usually like a 4 to 5 hour journey. LSD is typically a 10 to 12 hour journey. Ibogaine is a 24-hour journey. That's why it's the toughest one. Ayahuasca depends, but probably about 5 or 6 hours. So, but that's the full healing journey that people go into. Uh, that's where they surrender. That's the scary part for some people. Uh, so microdosing is when you take 1/10, typically 1/10 to 1/5 of a full dose of a macrodose. And a microdose is typically subperceptual. So what that means is you take it and you will feel very little. You'll not, you're not, you can still drive, you can still do all function. You don't have to worry about that. Uh, and it's doing the work sort of behind the scenes. It's still helping with the neuroplasticity. It's still helping with healing, but not in your face way that a macro experience is. Here's this trauma, you're facing it today. Microdosing is more of a, let's go on this journey. Let's go on this little day-to-day thing and see where it goes. And some people do microdosing as a way to feel safe. Okay, now I've done microdosing for a month. I feel confident with psilocybin, so maybe in a couple months I'll do a full journey and do the full healing part of it. But microdosing, uh, not as much research there as with macrodosing, and so a lot of the microdosing stuff is anecdotal, but the anecdotal stuff is amazing. People with anxiety, microdosing, the anxiety goes away. OCD tendencies, again, OCD goes away. And just again, amazing. And at the same time, like you said, they're getting that healing through the neuroplasticity, even with the microdosing. So that's the two different. So one is, a 1 day or a couple day experience with a macro journey and a true psychedelic experience. And the other is, and there are different protocols, but basically you do microdosing for a month and then you take a couple of weeks off and maybe start it again. Or if you feel like you've achieved what you wanted to achieve, you don't have to do it. You don't have to restart. It's just up to the person.
So, do you use different plants for different traumas?
That's where the research is going right now. We're seeing that, like I said, we're seeing, the research is still so new. Although now I think there are more than 100 universities doing psychedelic research, which is so phenomenal. So
So
we
cool.
are going to get to that specialty aspect of it, but we
Mhm.
do know, like psilocybin is very inward, uh, drawing you inward. So psilocybin is fantastic for trauma where you just really want to go inside yourself and see that experience. We're finding MDMA, uh, which is very heart opening, is fantastic for, especially for military, but for veterans where it's being used, but also anyone with PTS or depression, because again, it's something so interesting about MDMA that it allows you to have this brilliant, non-judgmental conversation about almost anything, and in complete honesty, where we might lie to ourselves all the time, but on this medication we are just free to speak our truth, and that allows that truth to get out there finally, rather than always being up here. um, Ibogaine, as we mentioned, probably will be the number one for addiction. The only scary part about Ibogaine is that um, it is a gnarliest psychedelic, and it does have impacts on respiratory and heart. And so you need to be in good health to take it. And they typically have doctors on staff to monitor your blood pressure and all that while you're going through the experience. But yeah, I think we're not quite there yet. But all these different, a mescaline is one which really hasn't been studied at all. It's also very heart opening. But yeah, I think we'll get further along. We will, I think, have, yeah, psilocybin is best for X, Y, and Z, and ibogaine is best for these. But we're not there
Mhm.
yet. But again, overall, these psychedelics have similar properties in that um, they all heal in different ways, and it's I guess it's important for me. It's important for people to do the research and find which one. We talk about the medicine calling you, and so that was one of the other reasons I wrote the book. Is okay. Here's psilocybin, and here's how it's been used for thousands and thousands of years by indigenous peoples for healing ceremonies. And here's ibogaine. And then you do your research, choose the one that you think resonates best with you, and then start that process of finding out how you're going to do the healing and obtain the medicine and things like that.
So what is a typical journey like? Like
Ah,
if you were in a medicinal setting,
yes.
right? Because I have a vision of how that looks in my mind, and I just wonder, is it true? Because I would imagine if you're with a practitioner, and I think I talked to Donna about this a while back, from Portland Psychedelic Society, um, th- that a journey looks like having a practitioner who's kind of like a therapist, but creates an environment for you to have the experience.
Yes. Yes. So I talk about there. To me, there are three key elements of an intentional psychedelic experience. The first is preparation, and part of preparation is that safe space. So whether that's in a therapist office, whether that's in a clinical study, I have a friend who is a therapist who is developing a new office that he hopes one day to do psychedelic therapy in. And he's like, the design of this office is going to be completely different than any other office I've ever done, because it's not going to look like a doctor's office at all. It's going to be cozy couch and beautiful pictures on the wall and plants and just a lush, welcoming environment. So to me, one of the most important things is having a safe environment, which is why it's always scary when people talk about, like I said, doing recreationally at a concert or at a Burning Man or something like that, a festival, because it's, there are, there are no lasting, very few, people call the psychedelic experience a side effect, which in a sense it is, because the healing is the main part. Um, but you can still face challenging experiences. And if you're in the middle of a crowd and you're facing the death of your mom, you might have a little bit of a freak out while everyone's cheering and
Mhm.
screaming and laughing and you're bawling your eyes out. So the setting is really important to me. And so whether the setting is in your house or an Airbnb or a therapist office or wherever it might be, it needs to be a safe place. Um, uh, Cozy furniture, blankets, water. Um, Typically, music plays a big role in psychedelics. Some people use eye shades. I never do, but some people like to, not have to keep their eyes closed the whole time, so they have the eye shades on. So that all that is preparation and setting an intention. This is what I want to happen in this experience. It doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it helps focus your mind that way. And then the actual journey is the second part, and that's the actual psychedelic experience. And then the third part is then um, integrating that experience. And so, whether that's with a therapist, a coach, or a psychedelic community, I love that we have all these psychedelic communities around the world now. And Portland is obviously one of the massive ones. Brooklyn's another massive one. But there are like minded people